doesn't. Okay, everybody. So now is the point, the first phase, if you will, of Comicus, where I show you the books for this week. So 1 second here as we switch cameras to the table cam. We have Black Panther, okay, issue 15. Got that one. We have Batman Detective Comics, issue 959. And we'll talk about that number in just a moment. There's a reason why it's so insanely high compared to the Batman books. Here we go, everybody. Here we go. Batman Elmer Fudd. A Looney Tune DC comic book crossover. Okay? That's a one-shot. That's issue 1. And Clue, based on the board game, but from IDW, which is a company that knows, for the most part, what to do with a IP. Okay. Okay, so now we've gone through what the books are this week. Next up, we'll actually go through those books. So get ready and buckle in. Buckle in and up. Buckle both. Both ways buckle. Okay. We have Black Panther, issue 15, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm positive I'm screwing that name pronunciation up, unfortunately. I have no idea how to say his name. It was very good. I read the first trade of Black Panther, which is like issues 1 through 4. And then I'll be totally honest, I have not read anything from 5 through 14. So I was still basically able to understand it because it had a good paragraph that intros the book, like say, this is what happened previously. Some books have that and it doesn't help much. Here it helped quite a bit. So basically, there's a big battle between these supernatural creatures you can kind of see right there, and there's T'Challa right there, Black Panther. And so T'Challa needs to team up with members of his, I guess you would say, guard or something like that, that kind of went against him, betrayed him, and he's trying to get them back and trying to convince them that they need to work together. And he's using the help of a shaman to basically hunt down the Orisha. Orisha are these ancient gods of Wakanda, and the Orisha cannot be found. And even worse, portals are opening up everywhere where supernatural creatures like this are showing up and causing just mass devastation. It's good artwork. It's good writing. There's a awesome cameo from an X-Men member in here, and it leads to a really cool conversation and possibly a union between T'Challa, again, Black Panther, in case you don't know, and her. Okay, I don't want to say who it is. You might be able to guess if you know anything about this Black Panther book, the series, and who's been in it in the last 15 issues. But yeah, it's really good. Black Panther was really good. Okay. Next up, that was Black Panther issue 15. Next up, we have another book. Let's see what that is. Here we have Batman Detective Comics issue 959. Okay, so what happened was when Rebirth happened and even when the New 52 happened, they did not renumber Detective Comics. Because it's the first DC comic book, they decided to keep it to its original numbers. So it really is up to 959, because it's been around since, I want to say 38, something like that, like 1938. As I mentioned before, this is a team book, so it's not just Batman. But if you like Batman, it's a must-have book. Not only because it's been around forever, but because the writing is really solid right now. This and Batman are probably two of my favorite books, and not just because I love Batman. I also need good writing. You know, the art at least has to be decent. The writing has to be, you know, not stupid. I'm sure there's much better words I could put. It doesn't necessarily have to be super clever, but just not idiotic. Doesn't have to insult my intelligence. Yeah, Batman Detective Comics as an interesting new villain that shows up. Um, Also, I got a nice surprise. Zatanna is in this. Zatanna is actually a practitioner of magic, and she's pretty awesome. She looks like she's like a stage magician, but she has true magic abilities. And it's basically her father who kind of like let her on the legacy to her. Um, so there's a cool flashback scene in here with a young Bruce Wayne and a younger Zatanna, and they're talking on a rooftop, and he's trying to understand sleight of hand. And he's young. I would say he's about 18 or so, because I think the idea is that he becomes Batman around age 30. I think that's around the consensus that people are saying. So in his 18 or early 20s, he's talking to her. He can't quite get the whole hiding the coin trick. He can't quite figure that one out. And it's funny because, we know what Batman's capable of now. Certainly he can do that. But, like, there he had an issue, and he was talking to her about it. And he was talking to her about magic and, like, obfuscation and things like that. And you get a feeling he actually had a crush on her, and she might have had a crush on him. So it's an interesting thing to look at. Another very interesting thing is a new member has joined the team. I've mentioned before that Batwoman is a member, as is Clayface, which is really cool. That actually worked out really well. Damian Wayne was a member. However, now Azrael, Jean-Paul Valley, is a member in Detective Comics. So it's part of a team now. And that's very interesting, because if you know anything about him, he replaced Batman, but then he went completely insane and became like a serial killer, just like hunting down and killing villains. And I think he may have also killed heroes too. I don't know the entire Night Quest story. I wish I did. But yeah, basically, he's hopefully better, and he's part of the team. And what's interesting is they are facing like a digital reconstruction of Azrael that doesn't know he's not real in some capacity, and he's very dangerous, and it's like he's like a robot or cyborg. And yeah, it's a good book. A lot of good action. I like the stuff with Bruce and Zatanna. I was quite happy with it. I think it's really solid. Yeah, that was good. Okay. Okay, everybody, that was Batman Detective Comics, issue 959. Next up, we have... That's right. That's right. You might want to laugh right now. I can understand that. I can totally see that. Batman Elmer Fudd one-shot. Okay. So, basically, this book is awesome. It's really good. I wish I had something to say bad about it, because most of the DC crossovers have been middling to just okay. I'm sorry, middling to bad, I guess we'd say, because middling is okay, I guess you would say that. This is really good. This has 2 stories, both written by Tom King, again, former CIA, who currently writes Batman, the Batman monthly book. Imagine anthropomorphic humanoid versions of your favorite DC comic characters. So that right there sets it apart from some of the other books. Some of them actually had it where it looks like the cartoon is in that world. Here, it's a gritty take on Elmer Fudd, if Elmer Fudd was a human being. And we see a version of Marvin the Martian, or Marvin Martian. We see a version of Foghorn Leghorn, and a version of, I believe, Yosemite Sam, and Porky Pig for certain, because it's Porky's Bar. It's really good. It's really good. It's actually this cool detective story about Elmer Fudd trying to find out who killed his girlfriend. And the cool thing is, his girlfriend is a popular DC character. So it's Silver St. Clair. I think I got the last name right. I think it's St. Clair. I know. Well, the first name's definitely Silver. That's a character that's also in the TV show Gotham, actually. But in Gotham, they had her at like age 14 or something, you know, because she's supposed to be a love interest for Bruce. I won't go into all the details of what they do with that storyline, but yeah, so he's basically trying to find out who killed Silver St. Clair. And he goes to this bar where there's these anthropomorphic humanoid versions of DC characters, and he talks to Bugs, okay, also known as the Bunny. And he's got kind of buck teeth, short black hair, and he's constantly chewing on carrots. And it's really neat because it's like the dialogue they use is like mostly straight out of the comics, but it's taken a whole new context because there's a seedy bar and everything. And he basically convinces Elmer Fudd that he didn't kill Silver St. Clair. It was Bruce Wayne that did. So then we find out that both Bruce Wayne and Elmer Fudd were dating Silver St. Clair, which was very interesting. It's a really good book. Like, going into it anymore would spoil it. It's really good writing. It's really good art. There is a ton of action in it. More action than I would have expected. And it all has this awesome, hard-boiled 1930s vibe to it. It's really, really good. Then you get a second story, which is around, I'd say, 10 pages. 10 to 12 pages. And it's actually the cartoon-looking version of Batman and Bugs Bunny, but again, written by Tom King. And it's clever. It's a clever take on one of the most popular cartoons, the Rabbit Season, Duck Season cartoon. And it takes some interesting turns, and it's really well done. So not only do you get a marquee story, the main story that's really good, you also get a backup story that's really, really good, which is almost unheard of. I mean, I love comics, but I'll be honest, a lot of times I will get the book, it'll have the two stories, it'll have the $4 or $5 price because it's got those two stories, and I'll be like, well, the main one was really good, but I didn't like the secondary one. And just for your knowledge, this wasn't part of Comicus recently, but currently All-Star Batman, which is a great story about Alfred, his butler, and in Alfred's past, which is far more interesting than you might think. That one actually had a really good story. It started up this story about Russian oligarchs, and it's actually chaptering. So each issue will have another chapter. So it's like you're reading two books. It's just a shorter story there. So that one's another book that's doing a good job with the 2 stories per book. But again, you're going to look at that sticker shock. That sticker shock right there. It's going to be the $4.99. I mean, I can understand it. Regular book's 22 pages. These books are about, I think, 40 something. So, you know, or at least like in the high 30s. So there is more book, you know. And I mean, I love this cover. A part of me would want a poster of this cover. They had another cover, but it was just very not comic book like, cartoon like. And I was like, no, this one's really cool. Comixology Unlimited. No, I have not. I know what Comixology is, but I didn't know they had an Unlimited. I know that supposedly Criterion has something for like crazy people, where every movie is shipped to you every month. I know it's not cheap, though. Wow, Unlimited. Do you know roughly how much that is, Prince, out of curiosity? Well, is there something that gets you current books? Like, there's nothing that's... Well, I agree, that's a good price, but is there anything they have for current books where you save a little bit of money from what the current prices are? Because that would be interesting, but I mean, obviously, to me, that would have to be in the at least $30 to $40 a month if they had something like that. Because, I mean, look how many books come out. And then there's going to be an issue where so-and-so studio doesn't want their books in it at that price or something, you know. It's going to be kind of like dealing, I think, with cable or dish companies, where they're like, no, you can't have that, you know, we're charging more for that channel. And then there's big battles between the actual channel owning company. I'd say network, but network gets confusing when you're talking cable. Um, and and then the actual provider. Great deals all the time. Some new Spider-Mans are on there. Well, I've noticed, I mean, you know, not to break this up too much, but Amazon, I noticed you can get really good prices on trades. Like the Batman trades from New 52, I'm missing a couple. Um, so they're $10, which I thought was really cool. And even the Rebirth, one of them I need is $10 instead of like 17. So that's a big price difference, you know. If you're talking $17 and $10 with no shipping, that's pretty awesome. So I see. I do like to have the physical book, though. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know they were owned by Amazon. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, on to our next book. Clue. Clue. Um, Clue is a lot better than I would have expected. It's pretty cool. IDW, again, they do a great job with things that you would think would just be, you know, money makers, where not a lot of effort or work is put into it, just a license, they just want to get it out there. And not the case with them. They've done a great job with Ghostbusters, Transformers. Probably the best Transformer comics made are the IDW ones. Actual, like, meaningful characters and interesting dialogue and stuff. Like, they don't goof around. The G.I. Joe was also a really good book. I don't know if that's still out there, though. I don't know if they're still doing that one. But, yeah, they do a good job. Anyway, this is an interesting book. It constantly breaks the fourth wall. In fact, going so far as to calling it a comic book, and that the what do you call that? I want to say waiter. Of course, he's not a waiter. The butler is constantly bringing up the fact, like, shh, they don't know they're in a comic book, as he's telling you what's going on, and as the bodies start dropping, because it is Clue, you know, just like the movie. It's the idea of someone kills Mr. Body. I'm not ruining anything. That happens in like the fifth page or something. But then someone else is killed. And there's this fun dialogue and interesting clues. And again, the butler's great. He just pops in at these interesting times. In fact, one of the best moments is he's shocked when someone gets killed. He's like, that happened sooner than it was supposed to. And I was like, that was really funny. At one point, he cuts out of the comic book and he asks the editor of the comic book a question. It's pretty neat. And there's an interesting gimmick with this book. There are 3 covers, okay? There's actually more than that, but there's 3 that you can purchase normally. So there's this one and another subscription, they call it one. I don't know why they say subscription. I wish I understood that. And then there's the regular cover that's going to be everywhere. Each one has an extra page at the end which shows you a scene that occurred, but in a different context, giving you a clue as to who the killer is. So I thought that was pretty neat. And I don't feel it's important enough to you get all 3 issues to have all 3 of those pages, but I think it's a cool concept, and I'm guessing that, you know, those clues, you could probably go online and figure out what they are too, I'm sure someone's posted those pages by now. But yeah, Clue is good. This is issue 1. Issue 2, I believe, is coming out in July, which seems weird because it's so soon, but it's, you know, next month still technically. I liked it. And again, like this week, there were no bad books. There was no book where I would say, definitely don't buy this. You know, that does happen. It hasn't happened this week. And I think we were pretty lucky last week too. Like one book In particular, I bring this up all the time. I harp and preach on it, and I apologize. Because people, when they want to get into comic books, it's something they're going to run out and probably pick up. Justice League right now is not great. I would honestly wait for a new creative team to take over. It is just action, almost nothing meaningful. It's very disappointing, and I wish it wasn't. Because, I mean, obviously I want the book that has Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, all those characters that are, in the Justice League. Also, the new, there's 2 new Green Lanterns that have their own book, actually. And yeah, it's just a disappointing read. It's just like a popcorn summer blockbuster without any depth whatsoever. And when you've read like Grant Morrison's take on the JLA, you almost get sick. I might be being dramatic, but I mean, I've seen JLA when it's amazing, and yeah, unfortunately, not right now. So yeah, I would wait for a new creative team on that book anyway. But we're getting in the way of Phase 3 of Comicus. 1 second here. So that was the conclusion of Phase 2, where we looked at each book in detail and talked about it. And now, if you give me just one moment, I will get the books together in a proper way so we can actually go through okay. See, it's hard to remember to do that part of it because you want to kind of have some surprises when people see the covers again and all that. So no one knows, just immediately, that was the book. That's the winner. Okay, 1 second here. There we go. So we'll start with Clue. Yeah, it was good. I like it a lot. I'm going to check out issue 2. Motown, how you doing? That neon is bright. The open sign. Pretty soon I'll be moving to a different room, and I don't know for sure if I'm going to have the open sign or if I can actually get it to work in the area it's going to be in. Well, I mean, it could plug in, but I don't know how it would hang or anything like that. So I might have to replace it with something similar. So I'm just enjoying having it in every stream now. For a while I had it unplugged, but people seem to like it, so there it is. Give me 1 second here. I just want to see if we have any announcements. Okay, so yeah, Clue is really good. This is issue 1. I look forward to issue 2. Now, if issue 2, if it just feels like it's going to be going through the paces and it's just going to be too much like the board game, maybe I will change my tune on it. But this one was neat. And like I said, breaking the fourth wall and everything was very entertaining. And something tells me that the writer has some cool things up his sleeve. So as much as I enjoyed Clue, it did not win Comicus this week. Clue, you are a good book, and you have fun breaking the fourth wall, and you do so in a number of interesting ways in issue 1. Plus, interesting idea to have a special page based on which cover it is to give you a clue as to the murder and, what to follow for the next issue. You were enjoyable, and I didn't get bored of you, but the game... I know it's ridiculous. But the game is still afoot, and you have not won it. I strip you of your bag and board, and I toss you onto the pile of old discarded board games that people don't care about anymore. Okay. Next up, we have Batman Detective Comics, issue 959. And, yeah, again, it's a good team book. I think it's a solid book. I like it a lot. And it was cool seeing Bruce and Zatanna together, and a new villain, which is an interesting version. Wow, out of the bag! um, and yeah, I mean, I have nothing really bad to say about it. It's just that sometimes, some weeks, there's books that are even better than other books. That's the situation we have here. So, Batman Detective Comics, issue 959. It was great seeing Zatanna and seeing Bruce hang out together when they were younger, and him trying to learn some things from her about sleight of hand and magic. And it's really cool seeing the team work together, including now Azrael, Clayface, Batwoman, and Batman, of course. It's really fun. It's a really fun book. However, Batman, you are not the winner of Detective Comics. Sorry, Batman Detective Comics. You're not the winner of Comicus this week. I strip you of your bag and board, and I toss you into the deep, dark recesses of the Batcave, where, you know, you'll have trouble being found again. Not like by the big giant penny. Somewhere else. Also not by the big Tyrannosaurus Rex. Somewhere else in the Batcave. Shadows somewhere. Okay, so next up we have Black Panther issue 15. Okay. This is a great book. This is, I feel, one of Marvel's best books right now. Ta-Nehisi Coates is an excellent writer. He's actually started as a novelist, and it's one of this new breed of novelists becoming comic book writers and just killing it. Very good. Even though I missed like 11 or 12 issues, I was still able to understand what was happening, and it was still enjoyable. And good artwork, very colorful, very interesting use of colors in this book. As you can see on the cover right there, it gives you a good indication, even though I believe it's probably a different artist, I'm guessing. But still, really good book. Again, sometimes, some weeks, you get a book that's just unique, a book that's a little bit different than other books, and you have to give it props. And that's what happened this week. So, one second here. Black Panther, issue 15. You were a very good book. And it was fun seeing this, more of a cameo, I would say, of a X-Men character that you might be having a union with to help you go against the supernatural creatures that the loss of the Orisha gods may have caused. Very good book, very enjoyable. However, I strip you of your bag and board, and I toss you onto the tallest tree in Wakanda, where even birds fear to land. So that just leaves us with Batman Elmer Fudd. And now I know what you're thinking. I'm insane. Someone should come through that door, put a straitjacket on me, and put me in a mental institution. That's a fair assessment. But not for this, other reasons. Anyway, this is a very good book. This is the reason that something like a Looney Tunes crossover with DC characters should happen. When it's written this well. When it has artwork like this book. I was very happy with this. I mean, I saw the cover about 2 months ago, and I was like, that's a really damn cool cover. I liked it a lot. And based on the cover, I was like, wow, I bet it's going to be a weird anthropomorphic version of Elmer Fudd, like in our world, instead of most of the other books in the series here, where it looks more like comic characters just with real life characters. Well, not real life. You know what I mean. The comic books aren't real, but Batman's human, things like that. And then cartoon characters with Batman, or cartoon characters with, some other DC character. This one, again, does a cool anthropomorphic thing. It's a, 1930s type of mystery as to who killed Elmer Fudd's lover, and it works really well. It works really well. And then also, like I mentioned, it's got a great secondary story, which feeds right off of the Wabbit season, duck season, Wabbit season, duck season, really well, and gives some neat ideas, and doesn't just take that trope. It works with that trope. It's pretty awesome. So, because of that, as hard as this is to believe, and I'm sure it will be, Batman Elmer Fudd, you are a fudding good book. I love the Fudd out of you. You were very enjoyable. I recommend this book, and that's real rare for a number of reasons. First off, it's $4.99. There's a reason, though, it's got that secondary story, and it's not 22 pages. So it's longer than a normal book. So it's actually fair what they're charging, and it's a really good book. From what I've seen of the crossovers from Looney Tunes and DC, it's the best one. They did 6. This is the one I'd recommend definitely getting. I will be shortly reading the one with Yosemite Sam and Jonah Hex, just because that's an awesome team. If it's done well, it could be really cool. I haven't had a chance to read that yet, though. Because, again, when I do Comicus, it's got to be 4 books, 3 or 4 books. It can't be 8, 10, even 6 would be a bit much. So it just makes sense to shoot for about a 45-minute to hour-long show and base it around 3 or 4 books. And of the 4 books I read today, I would say definitely Batman Elmer Fudd. So what that means is, Batman Elmer Fudd, you have won Comicus! So you descend up toward the heavens, where older cartoons hang out with popular comic book characters. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. Now, unfortunately, can't get it to float there or anything. I wish I could. But yeah, that's what I can do. He doesn't always. He does not always, Prince. He was beaten by something. I'd have to look at previous episodes. He does not always win. Plus, that's a one-shot. That does not cover the Batman rules. That's more like a weird anomaly, a one-shot is. So it's not like I'm saying run out and get the series of Elmer Fudd Batman. That doesn't exist. It's just a one-shot. He happens to be in it. I'd say, if anything, I would say it's more the fact that it's Tom King writing it than it's Batman. Because I think if Tom King took Aquaman, he could have made a corking good Elmer Fudd Aquaman story. That would have been much more difficult, perhaps. But I think he could do it. I think he could. I can't. I know I can't. Something did beat him. I'm pretty damn certain. Or just those weeks the other books aren't quite there. I mean, trust me, I'm able to separate my love of a character for something that I think is better. In fact, Saga might have beaten Batman. That's possible. I don't remember if that was... There was a week where either it was Batman or Flash. Saga won, because Saga was just mind-blowing and crazy. So yeah, it's not just the big DC or Marvel books. That's why I wanted to look at Clue, by the way. I always like to show you guys things that are new and aren't on the beaten path. I didn't know about the Clue book until a couple weeks ago. I was like, what the hell's that? And then I looked into it and I said, that actually sounds pretty neat. Batman is invincible. He's not invincible. He is not invincible. In fact, the armor, as far as I know, in this current book, is not even completely bulletproof. For the most part, it never has been, unless I guess, when he has like the weird like metal suit, but that's not often. Yeah. So oddly enough, and hard for me to believe, Elmer Fudd Batman, I feel, is the best book this week. Like, it's so well done. It's really good. Give me 1 second here. I'll give you an idea what we're looking at next week. Actually, no, I can't do that. Let me explain why. It would take too long. I apologize. So, next week's weird. From what I saw with an early indication from Diamond Comics, was only about 3 books that I have any interest in, and almost nothing new coming out. Beyond, that, I mean, is truly new. Unless all the issues weren't listed yet. Like, I'm hoping Baby Teeth 2 comes out soon, because I have yet to get a copy of 1, and part of me is just like, just wait till 2 comes out. It's only going to be 4 weeks. But then I'm like, well, Baby Teeth's an indie book. Baby Teeth could be 2 months. Totally possible. Totally possible. I know indie books that are 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Not every book can come out monthly. If you're self-publishing, that's damn near an impossibility to do, unless you're really lucky and the book sold really well. So I know Aftershock is not a gigantic studio. So, in fact, I might want to double check. Who knows? It might be like there's issue 1, which is like almost like a pilot episode of a TV show, and then maybe months later the series starts. I don't even know. I was going to Prince, but they were way too deep into it. And isn't it just a limited series? I thought it was only 12 issues, and at 8 or 9 right now. That was a book I was interested in. That is a book that I was interested in. I can tell you another book that's really good. Oh, I believe Batman may have been beaten 1 week by Black Hammer. Black Hammer may have beaten Batman. Volume 1 is like $3 right now. You mean issue 1? Or, like, is there a trade that's on discount for some ridiculous amount of money? Ridiculously low amount of money. I found out Valiant Comics is doing something kind of cool. They're putting trades out in either 3 or 4 issues. So they're getting out really quick, by the way. So Exo Manowar trade volume issues 1 through 3 came out today, and in shops issue 4 was out. That is amazing timing. That is unbelievable, and it's cool because you get a good taste of the book for $10 in a trade, rather than a trade that's like 6 or 8 issues and you're spending like $20. So it's very smart of them. A lot of people would be like, yeah, I'll part with $10 to check this out in a nice bound trade. And Exo Manowar is one of Valiant's best books. It always has been. It's really cool. So eventually I'll do a Exo Manowar review. There were just too many things that came out this week for me to look at. So it was in my hand, and then I was like, 1 through 5 for like $3, no trade. Oh, so on Comixology, you mean? Or separate issues? I'll end up just breaking down and getting Baby Teeth, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll just get Baby Teeth. I mean, it's not like it's expensive. It's just like I have to probably order it from someone I'm not too familiar with. And, I mean, the whole thing will probably only cost like $2 more than the actual retail price of it. So, I should just pick it up. Not wait till issue 2. I look forward to so we'll definitely review issue 2. I don't know about... I have not planned reviewing older books. Like old issues or anything. So yeah, sometimes it's difficult, like there'll be a number of books that came out like today. There were 7 or 8 really good books that I do read. And I was like, well, only 4 of them can work for Comicus. So I was like, there we go. So I actually have I look at the books, I debate. I'm like, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Yeah, Wednesdays I pretty much dedicate to doing Comicus. Get the books at noon. Have them read by 4 or 5. And then, you know, this happens. This amazing art occurs. Does anyone have any questions on comic books at all, or any of the comics we talked about? Or any suggestions for upcoming comics I should look at? Oh, here's something funny. On Jeopardy, Why the Last Man was one of the answers. That's from the creator of Saga, by the way. Why the Last Man. Digital. It's so much cheaper. I don't have a tablet though. I would have to read it on my PC, and I would not like that. And then the problem is too, if you love the new stuff, like new books when they come out, it's only a slight difference in Comixology. I think there's a $1 difference, if that. Some books worth $3 on Comixology. Which I understand. The artists and writers should make their money, but if I'm going to pay the same amount or close to it, I'm just going to go and buy the physical book. You know, because I don't want print to die. That's another thing I have to look at prints. I don't want print to die. I've grown quite accustomed to it. Yes, prints, but if you read the new books that come out monthly, those, like, I can tell you, there were books I looked at on Comixology a few days ago, and they were like $3 a piece. Print is dead. No, it is not. It is not. I won't let it die. I won't. I won't. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. That doesn't exist. It's not going to happen. So, any other questions? Bueller. Klaus von Bülow. Klaus von Bülow. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm interested to see what books will come out next week. Because, like, I looked and it had to be a non-finished list. There was, like, I think it was Superman had a new issue. And, like, Marvel, like, one book. I don't know. I don't know. It was just really limited. I was like, I went through the list twice, and I was like, there's only 3 books across all the studios. That doesn't make any sense. That's a really light week. 3 books across the studios. Because, you know, there's Marvel, DC, of course, right? Then there's Dark Horse. Then there's Image. And then there's a huge listing of all the real small, super indie books and, like, self-published titles. And I didn't see anything. Like I said, not even Baby Teeth issue 2. But it could have been not finished. I guess they don't have to have a finalized list until, like, the end of the week or something. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how that works, to be honest with you. Actually, you know, finalized list might be up now, possibly. I don't know. I just don't know. Okay. I will ask finally, do we have any other questions or any other comments about comic books? I always preface it with what I'm looking at. Like when I do the Twin Peaks show, I know now it's smart to ask about Twin Peaks or David Lynch. Not to say, just open up to any questions possible. Because that just doesn't go well. It doesn't. Pretty soon, these will be coming to YouTube, by the way, too. I'll be putting these on YouTube. Comicuses. Comic-Eye? Is that multiple comicuses? I guess that's a Comic-Eye. Seems about right. I'm just an all digital guy. You're Bobby Digital? Do you know what that means? Let's test your knowledge of music. I'll see you, Prince. Have a good night. I want to thank everyone for watching, and this was Comicus. We'll see you next week. It should also be 9 p.m. And have fun with karate. I wish you luck. Break some boards. See, that's better than break a leg, right? Because see, that might curse you. Break some boards. Bobby Digital was a oh my god, now I'm gonna forget. Am I gonna forget? It was a member, I believe, of the Wu-Tang Clan. It was an alternate personality he had. I think it was the RZA. I'd have to double check. I believe the RZA was Bobby Digital. Pretty sure it's the RZA. Not the Jizza. Or not the Method Man of a Capadonna. Not ODB. Okay, everybody. Have yourself a good night, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.